Welcome back, everyone. Well, Brittney Griner is free, but Paul Whelan, a Marine and an American hero, is still stuck in Russian prison right now, following the highly controversial prisoner swap of a prolific Russian arms dealer for the WNBA player today. The Biden administration is being hit with backlash for leaving Whelan, who is serving a wrongful 16-year sentence in a Russian high-security prison over charges of espionage. Now, Whelan was detained in December of 2018, and the U.S. has not been able to broker a deal for his release since. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked point-blank about that today in the Today's Trade deal. Listen to this.
In recent weeks, it became clear that while Russians were willing to reach an agreement to secure Brittney's release, they continue to treat Paul Whelan differently given the nature of the totally illegitimate charges they have levied against Paul. Unfortunately, the choice became to either bring Brittney home or no one.
Well, the brother of Paul Whelan is with me now to discuss what happened today. David Whelan, thank you so much for taking time to be with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jen.
David, I know a lot of Americans are outraged that your brother is not on his way home right now. He's been in prison in Russia for 4 years. He spoke out today expressing frustration over the lack of progress in his negotiations. When was the last time that you spoke to him, and how are you and your family feeling about this swap?
Our parents were able to speak to him today. I haven't spoken to him since October 2018. He's not allowed to call me from the prison. Obviously, we were devastated by the news, but it was very gracious of the White House to give us advance notice. We learned yesterday, so we were able to process some of our grief and disappointment privately and get back to work today, helping Paul, trying to support him so he can survive until he is released.
What kind of communication have you or your family had with Joe Biden? Has he made any promises to you that make you hopeful for your brother's return?
He's been very clear, I think, publicly, in the same way that he has communicated to us privately, which is that he is determined to bring all Americans home who are held wrongfully abroad. And that's not just Paul in Russia, but it's people like Maj Kamalmaz in Syria and Siamak Namazi in Iran. There are American citizens being held in many countries. And unfortunately, they're being held by hostage takers, and it's very difficult to get those people home. But I'm confident that he will continue to work on Paul's case, although I think we may need to do a sort of a restart to figure out how to get him out, since the Russians have not been willing to send him home yet.
Yeah, do you think that you look at a lot of people are pointing out the contrast, right? You have an American who served his country as a Marine. You have a basketball player, and I think any American can be glad to have another American home after going through something like this. But do you feel that your brother has been given fair coverage of his situation? We've seen a lot of media attention surrounding Brittney Griner, a lot of attention from this administration. But up until now, haven't heard as much about your brother. Do you feel like it's been fair?
Oh, I do, yes. I mean, I think the difference is that Paul's case started 4 years ago. And so we had our peak, to the extent that you have a peak as a wrongful detainee family, back in 2019. And so we have continued to work. And I think, we had the media attention when we needed it, which was when we needed to get Congress to pay attention during the last 2 years of the Trump administration and the beginning of the Biden administration. And I think that the U.S. government engagement over the last 2 to 3 years especially has been significant for wrongful detainees. So no, I think that Paul's in as good a position as he can be. And unfortunately, it's not all about the U.S. government making all the decisions. At some point, Russia gets a vote, and they voted no on Paul.
Well, David, I know that you said that the Biden administration needs to be more assertive in their negotiations, and one of those ways being taking more Kremlin-connected law-breaking Russians into custody. Can you tell us more about that, and what would be your message to the White House?
Well, I think I would first say that I will go with caution. I don't think the U.S. government should become the Kremlin, which is obviously a playground bully and a kleptocracy. But the U.S. government, I think, should be preparing a plan so that as these wrongful detentions continue, and they will continue, whether it's Iran or China or Syria or wherever, that they have a plan to make concessions or to do an exchange as quickly as possible to bring Americans home, rather than allowing it to go on for 2 or 4 years. In Paul's case, 6 years in Kylie's case in China, 10 years in Mark Swiden's case in China, and get these people home quicker. And that may mean having a plan to look and see, from the offending countries, if there are Russian nationals who are tied to the Kremlin, who are committing crimes outside of Russia, and the Department of Justice can extradite them to the U.S. and they've broken U.S. crimes, then I don't see why they shouldn't be convicted if that's appropriate and exchanged back to those countries.
David, let me ask you this. I know a lot of folks wondering, your brother's imprisoned in a Russian penal colony. He's doing hard labor. Can you tell us what the conditions have been like for him?
It's brutal, but it's almost arbitrarily brutal. It's a diminished food supply. They feed you very poorly. It's difficult to get fresh fruits and vegetables. They don't get much in the way of protein. They work 6 hours a day. He works in a sort of a sewing sweatshop, and it's a brutal, repetitive life that gives you very little hope. And I think that that's our biggest concern with Paul, is that he needs to survive for another 12 years in order to see our parents again. And to do that, he needs to keep his mind strong. He gets up every morning and sings the U.S. national anthem because that helps him to get through the day. He has rituals like that. I think it also bothers the prison guards, but he has these rituals calling our parents to get through each day. And I think when you have a disappointment like today, it makes it harder to get through the day and the next day and so on and keep going until your freedom does come to the head.
Well, God bless him. He's an American hero. I saw that part of the interview where he said, he hopes that he can get back to see his parents, his dog who's aging as well. And, there's the concerns there about, just reuniting with family. I saw that there is a GoFundMe for your brother. I checked that before airtime today. It was about $46,000 out of a $100,000 goal. How can folks help and what will this mean for your brother?
Well, if you can help financially, the GoFundMe is a great place to go, gofundme.com/free Paul Whelan. And that money goes to help us put money on his phone card so he can call our parents and buy things like fresh fruits and vegetables in the prison. If you're not able to do that and you can afford a stamp, send a letter, care of the State Department, U.S. Consular Services in Washington, to Paul. And he would appreciate the mail and to appreciate that he hasn't been forgotten.
Well, thank you for letting us know about that. David Whelan, we appreciate you, and please know we are praying for your family and for your brother.
Thanks so much, Jen.
You got it.